Hi, this is Alex Gonzalez from In Your Phase. This is a 40K based episode where we're going to be reviewing a 2020 Renegade Open Mini GT. Had quite a few people for a 2020 United States GT for 40K, but there was going to be an Age of Sigmar event just 1 week after. We do discuss it in the show, and one day after we recorded, we found out that the event that was going on this same day that this event is released for the Age of Sigmar GT was canceled. So that one was canceled, but we are going to be talking about the 40K GT in this episode. After that, we're also going to be taking a little bit of a hot take and looking at secondaries specifically for 40K. See if codex-based secondaries are a little bit more overpowered. Are they? Are they not? Find out in the show.
Do 3 drop pods turn 1, 3 drop pods turn 2. So you move 3 inches, 3 inches.
Oh no, I originally had 7 drop pods. Okay, but I was convinced that I needed to bring some Deathwing. So I dropped out a whole section of my army and brought Samael and 20 Deathwing Knights. Belial and 20 Deathwing Knights.
I'm surprised you didn't bring the 12 drop pods of your battle company force that you used to play.
Well, I wanted to be Dark Angels, and I only have 7 of them painted as Dark Angels drop pods.
I think I remember seeing you with your drop pod force. I think I remember seeing you in the relic where you were able to put like 6 of your drop pods around the objective. It couldn't control it, but like fuck you, you're not getting the relic. I am.
Yeah, with all the doors doing this, they actually form a teepee over it.
Oh, I forgot you used to like not be able to move over them. What a nightmare.
Yeah, and so all my drop pods have dots on top that tell me which doors open and which ones don't. So that people are like, well, you got to open the doors. So I strategically pick which pods have which number of doors and open and land them, so that the ones that can't open, I'm using strategically versus the ones that can open.
I like the word strategic versus modeling for advantage.
Yeah, right.
Yes. That's a is that Yiddish for modeling for advantage?
It's modeling for tactics.
That's what.
That's what we're calling it nowadays. That's what. Okay.
Modeling for tactics.
That's an interesting one. Oh boy. Well, welcome everyone. This is In Your Phase. This is Alex, John, Jeremy, and Garrett. We're going to be, of course, talking about 40K today. And as always, we're also going to be talking about our phases, right? So, now that we've phased out of October and things have been getting colder, we're starting to get the holiday seasons ramped up and all that jazz. I've still, thus far been able to prevent and stem the tide of Mariah Carey Christmas music in my household, despite much protest. So pray for me, everyone. Outside of that, I am about to get started with painting some death marks. I just found 2 bits of my Tombstalker that I am going to try to convert into a Tomb Sentinel and find a way to make it work for the fact that I don't have any legs for it anymore. But I spoke to John about this prior to recording, and I got some advice on, some good, ways to make some waves and make, like an ocean setting so that I can take the top portion of things, maybe do a little Jaws action with the top rim of the stalker to make it look like it's, swimming in the water a little bit. So, hey, I won't need to use legs for that. So, besides that, we are currently getting everything else together to just paint it all at once. The Catacomb command bars. I'm looking at my Locust Destroyer. I'm looking at 2 converted Locust Heavy Destroyers, but I got 2 coming on the way from my buddy Fedge. And Chronomancer's on the painting docket, Reanimator, and an Overlord. So yeah, we got a lot here to begin base coating before jumping into the rest of the painting overall. And then of course the Seraphon there, which I can't, I got to do one thing at a time. So that's all that's really in my phase. Played a game of 40K over the weekend. Our buddy Aaron played with his Harlequins. Being familiar with Harlequins, having played them at on the live stream against Jeremy's Custodes, it was a different sub faction than I had used before, a different troop rather. But it was really fun. I proxied the Void Dragon as mine comes out I get mine this Friday, and holy fucking shit, was that a ridiculous game. It was I got the Night Hunt treatment. And for our 40K players that don't know this, there's essentially a faction in 40K or in Age of Sigmar that is very similar to Harlequins in 40K. They're not as powerful comparatively, but they basically have, in a way, a save that can never be modified. And outside of mortal wounds, they're always getting that 4-up save, just like Harlequins. And they're very fast. There's a lot of retreat and charge mechanics. Everyone doesn't have it, but they're a lot, a big base of the competitive units have that. So, at some point, he couldn't fail a 4-up save, which really fucked me in the end. But on turn 2, he could go up to a 22-inch advance and still be able to shoot with all of his fusion pistols and stuff. And I had one lucky moment where of course he chose Assassinate against me. And there was a moment where he had a guy or a Star Weaver on the top of a very tall building, but technically my Catacomb Command Barge is the closest model because it does have the hover rule. So the base and the hull are considered, you measure to and from the base and the hull. So unfortunately, the top little rim of the CCB ended up being something that was the closest point of any of my models to the Star Weaver. So it got 5 melters to the face. Thankfully, with quantum deflection and some bad dice rolls, only one ended up coming through to me. And, it did, I think it did 5 damage or 6 damage to me, it did 7 damage with the +2. And, it hurt, but it didn't kill the CCB. But it definitely was not a fun experience for me. And eventually I did lose the Overlord. But holy shit, my Void Dragon came in, wrecked shop, because he put all of his Star Weavers in my face turn 1. And he killed 4 out of the 5 Star Weavers by himself between Satan powers, shooting, and eventually charging. But out of all 5 Star Weavers that died during the game, the 4 that died on turn 2, every single time he rolled to explode, he rolled a 6. So he did a lot of mortal wounds to me while his shit was dying, and it was very fun to play. It was a game where it ended up just coming down to the dice rolls and the unfailed saves, but it was a fun game either way. That was in my phase, of course. John, what about yours?
Sure, Alex. I'll tell you what, man. I don't know about you. It sounds like you're a little bit of a Grinch over there, despite your hat. But I'll tell you what, I myself, I love the Christmas music. I am all about the Christmas music. I can't wait till this time of year. People around me will get sick of listening to it. I blast it all day at work, listen to it in my car, listen to it at home. It's the best. I love Christmas music.
I'm sure.
I'm just going to put that out there.
Okay.
That said, what was in my phases? Well, the main thing that was in my phase this last week was I got in a huge game of 40K with a few friends. It was my buddy Sean's birthday, actually. So we got together in the, what should we call it? The man cave. I think he just calls it the man cave, but I call it the Quonset hut of battle. You should see this thing. It always reminds me of like a Marine barracks from the old Gomer Pyle days, the big, half dome that is his his man cave. Anyway, so we put up a game. We played 4,000 points each, 6 of us, 20, what is that? 4 times 6, 24,000 points on the table. I brought some Dark Angels. Damn. I brought a couple thousand points of Ravenwing and a couple thousand points of Deathwing. It was awesome. I used the Ravenwing stratagem to drop Deathwing Terminators right 6 inches away. Boom, I charged a fully unwounded melee knight with all the buffs and everything charged in and overkilled him by 5 wounds with those Deathwing knights on the charge.
Holy shit.
Was pretty pimp. What else did I bring? I brought 2 squads of Invader ATVs, the new quad bikes with multi-meltas. and unleashed those plus 2 big squads of Black Knights, the ones on bikes, into another knight. I actually was able to kill a knight, 1 big knight and 3 mini knights with 1 round of shooting with all that melta going in there. And then every time one of my invader ATVs got killed, brought him back with a Raven Wing Apothecary. Oh yeah. Even used it to like hop over a piece of terrain and gain advantage. It was amazing
I hate it.
how powerful that is. So it was a great game. And ultimately, despite playing this huge game with massive carnage and shooting going back and forth, we played, I guess, almost 12 hours. It was a huge game. We ate, barbecued, ate dinner, a whole thing, finished 3 bottles of whiskey. But in the opening moves of the game, I put 3 drop pods into the 3 places between terrains. We had a massive amount of terrain on the table, but the 3 gaps that knights could fit through. And the orc player had what's the new, not the Stompa, but the Gorka,
the Gorkanaut or the
Gorkanaut. That's it. Yeah, the guy had Gorkanauts, a bunch of Gorkanauts. So there was only 3 places Gorkanauts and knights could get out of the across the first street of their deployment zone into the center, where all the objectives that we were fighting against on a massive table. We played on, geez, I don't even know, 7-foot table or something like that. 2 4x6 mats side by side, so 8-foot table, I guess, 8x6. And those drop pods, they got killed instantly. Believe me, 3 knights, big knights, and a Gorkanaut came out and smashed the drop pods and the Melta Marines that got out of them. But you know what? It held him in his zone, and that was that. So anyway, so that was the main thing that was in my phase this week, was this massive game of 40K, which was awesome. Other than that, earlier in the week, you guys saw me continuing to work on lighting up the Silent King, and I just got a little preview, post view. If you haven't seen the video yet, you will remember seeing what's going on there. Doing some lighting effects in our triarchal menhirs there. And, I was poking around the internet and I found this little something here. And I don't have one of those big pyramid things yet, but I'm picturing one of those in my near future.
Talking about a monolith?
What's that?
Talking about a monolith?
Yeah, a monolith, right? Wouldn't that be pimp in the center of a monolith?
I gotta say, that actually might be good for a Realm Shaper engine.
Yeah,
You would actually be able to fit it in a Realm Shaper engine. I don't think you could fit that in a I mean, like, I haven't seen the new monolith. I only
he
going
doesn't
by
think
the
I can
old.
fit it in a monolith.
Hey, it looks like you might prove me wrong some future Wednesday from now.
Follow us on Wednesdays and see John prove
Exactly.
Alex wrong.
But what this is the smallest battery-powered plasma sphere that I could find. And I've already actually completely disassembled it, checked out the electronics and all the housets on how it works, and put it back together. So ready to fully integrate that bad boy into a GW model. And that, along with this delicious Suntory whiskey, has been what is in my phase this week. Garrett, sir, my friend, what the heck has been in your phase this week?
Well, seeing as we recorded quite late last episode, it was a short phase this time around. So I don't have a whole lot to report. One of the things that I've been kind of getting into is I've been watching a lot of history YouTube videos.
Oh no.
So between like European history, like the fall of the Roman Empire leading up to the rise of the Kaiser in World War I, the Federation of the German Empire with the Prussians, Napoleon, and just kind of like all of those just random little weird history things. And I've been really intrigued by the interactions of European like political parties and kingdoms and how they do that things, because I love that sort of interaction. And seeing as one of the campaigns I'm running in D&D is a Kingmaker campaign, I am really intrigued to see how I can integrate some of these ideas of different factions interacting with each other and how kingdoms will go to war with each other. Why would they go to war with each other, over what sort of resources, and different things like that. And then I also have been watching some alternate history stuff like the Kaiser Reich and what would happen if the Roman Empire never existed. Just a lot of like really interesting thought experiments of our history and how we are where we are today. So I've been going down a lot of those rabbit holes. Other than that, Jeremy and I streamed a Total War Warhammer game on Sunday, which I predicted went terrible.
Oh no!
We actually lost in an hour.
What?
Yeah.
I think it took us an hour for us to lose.
Yeah.
What factions did you guys play?
Jeremy was playing Beastmen. Or Beast, are they called Beastmen then? And I was playing Norska. And Jeremy decided to attack a Wood Elf stronghold with his tiny Beastmen force and got annihilated.
It wasn't that small, but it definitely wasn't enough.
You had two half-stack factions of the starting forces. You attacked the Wood Elf stronghold, ran away. One of them got annihilated. And you're like, let's go attack some humans with my one-stack army. And he died. So
by what turn was that? Because if it's by turn in like Total War, if that's by turn like 40
10?
or 50. Oh,
Yeah.
10?
I think it was 10.
Yeah. Garrett forgot to caveat that like it was supposed to be a cross campaign, and he came to help me, but then it's his rear.
Yeah, then my capital got sieged, so I had to fuck off.
And I was just like, I guess I'm screwed.
Who'd your capital get sieged by that early on?
One of the other Norska factions.
Oh, you didn't just like immediately try to mark him and confederate?
So wait. So you got one of your allies is a completely mobile faction, and you went to go help him instead of the mobile faction coming up to where you have your cities to help you conquer more territory.
Yes, because Jeremy desperately needed help winning any fights because he was starting to lose due to fightiness. Like he was taking fightiness attrition. So it was like, it was bad. We lost, like, I think by turn 10, legitimately.
Yep.
We lost. Like he got wiped out, game over screen happened.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we started over because, it was an hour into our 4-hour stream. And we did much better. I started confederating a lot of the Norska tribes, and he played Warriors of Chaos because he's like, fuck this piece of chaos shit. So yeah, I mean that was basically been I did acquire some more sisters. I got 2 boxes of Retributors and a box of Repentia. I haven't started building them up yet. I just picked them up on Friday. Actually, I forgot to grab it, but I received my painted Alariel from Matt Barker. So I have my fully painted Alariel now because I traded him. I got him Gazgul Thraka for his birthday, and as a huge thank you for all the work he's done for me as a friend. And I was able to get up my finished Alariel. She's not glued on, and the beetle's not glued onto the base, so I still need to figure out how to finish that. But the whole paint job is done, so I finally have my Alariel. And if I ever start playing AOS again, I'll probably just start playing Sylvaneth just to pump out my painted army and have fun, since I'm just kind of waiting till the December FAQ. But that's been my phase this week. Jeremy, other than losing miserably with beasts, how was your phase?
It was pretty good. Like last Saturday we had the reveals for all of the Marathi campaign books, so I've just been like crunching away at like different army builds for utilizing the new idolator sub-allegiance and so forth. And I got myself a little like Eidolon, or sorry, not Eidolon, the Leviathan from the Deepkin, and some sharks, which I'll assemble soon. I can't really tell this. So I'm looking forward to like painting this guy, because it's like it's one of the only models that did not have in the Deepkin line. So it'll be kind of cool to play Deepkin again. Hashtag Matthew Pashby. So it brings back memories. We'll put it in that way. But my phase has been mostly outside of that. Do a lot of yard work as we're wrapping up the renovations that's happening outside our house. And then just looking forward to not drinking as much as I did last weekend for Ben, our buddy Ben's birthday. I got to witness. I've never done this in my life. I got to leave Ben's party to go have dinner with my wife, which we hanging out for like a couple hours. Like let's say like an easy flat 3 hours, right? Come back I left midday, come back late night to the party. It's still going. What an amazing it's always nice. Everybody's excited since COVID. Come back. Alex is still playing the same game. 4 hours. I think
you're forgetting a big caveat to that.
Well, I don't care, but all I know is I came back and I was just like, I guess I never. It's like a time warp, right? You like leave, come back, and it's like nothing changed.
Well, there's a sobriety offset at that point.
Yeah.
We were on turn 3 by then. The problem was, and you guys know Ben Viscara. You also know our good friend Larry. They are very loud people. And our buddy Aaron, our buddy Aaron has very sensitive ears. So it took me 40 minutes to explain my army because he could not hear me. I was joking that I was on his lap yelling in his ear and he still couldn't hear me because those guys were loud as fuck. But they were getting rocked the fuck up. So we had a lot of side conversations. But at the same time, it was one of those things. He's like, "Oh, I don't know how that works." I'm like, "Okay, this is how it works, and this is the weak point." He's like, "Oh, cool, okay."
Oh yeah, I just thought it was funny, like for a party of just a bunch of gamer dudes just enjoying somebody's birthday, drinking heavily. I mean, I expected the game to keep on going like all night. It surprisingly went up until like 1 a.m. So
oh, well, we were playing board games until like 3.
Right, from 1 to 3.
Yeah.
We definitely. I don't want to drink that much again for a while.
I didn't even realize you drank that much. There was like no booze for me to like. There was a shitty tequila mix, and I was. Okay, here's a good question. I'm gonna drag them right now because they're not here to defend themselves. How do you guys feel? And Jeremy doesn't need to answer this question because I already know how he feels about this. But this is mainly for Garrett and John. Primarily, I think maybe for John. But if you go to someone's house, right? You go to my house, you go to someone else's house, and we're all having a good time. And you open up someone's freezer, and they have cleaned ice trays in the freezer that are empty. How do you feel about that? That someone had cleaned their ice trays in the dishwasher or in the sink, knew that they were empty, and then put them in the freezer. How do you feel about
that? That's some lazy ass fucking shit.
I said it was psychotic, and I got gaslit for it by Jeremy and others. I was like, "This is psychotic. What the fuck, you guys?"
I think it's just fucking lazy. Like literally, somebody is on autopilot. They're just like fucking putting away the dishes, distracted,
They're gonna
not
get mad at
paying
me if they
attention
listen
to
to
what
that
I'm
too.
doing, just fucking doing it.
I mean, he assumed it was for water for ice cubes. I just assumed it was for whatever they're gonna add later to it. I don't know, but either way, he came out and he's like, in a half drunk, and he's just like, "This is psychotic," and we're like, "What is wrong?"
Well, now, in his defense, some people don't like old ice in the freezer.
I do not like old ice.
So they would maybe put the ice trays in the freezer because they had nowhere else to store them. But when you're ready to make some ice, go fill them with water. Now they're cold, they freeze quicker, and you put them back in, do your ice thingy, and then put them in the
freezer.
I get that.
Yeah,
see, I use ice a lot, so I'm like, I get that though. I get that.
I'll give you an example of psychotic. I have an auto ice maker. I don't actually use my dispenser. I open up my freezer, open up the ice maker door, and get the ice on the top because that one's fresh in a sense. I don't get
That's chaotic.
Yeah, well, we leave our ice maker with the little thing up, so it's not even doing anything, and then flip it down when I want to make some ice, and flip it back up, so it's not, you don't get that big ball of remelted ice. Like that's the nasty part, right?
Garrett, it looks like you want to show us something.
Oh, when you guys are done.
Yeah,
you took a moment.
I got the painted Ilario. So he has it's not great lighting in here, but here's the beetle.
It's the backlighting that's messing you up.
Yeah, no, I have terrible lighting in here, but here's the beetle. You can't really see the purple well, but it's blended a lot better. here than in person. And then here's a Lariel.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny. I follow Matt on Instagram, and he took a photo this weekend of your Lariel, and the exact opposite issue was encountered on his photos. So instead of having too much of a bright backlight, he had taken the photo outside, and the sun's light was making it too hard to see the model for a very different reason. But I saw it. It's color shift paint, right?
Yeah, it's color shifting paint.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks a lot better in person when you can see it. But yeah, then here's the base.
That's
so
cool.
That's
Great.
my army. So yeah, it would be something like this.
You're gonna have to put that one in a plastic box. You'll never play it on the table.
Don't.
I actually like Alariel's rules.
Not enough to actually play with them or anything, but I like them.
No, I actually enjoy playing with Alariel. She has some being a level 3 caster makes her really well. Okay, back when there was realm spells, she was great. Now there's no realm spells. She has lost a lot of her oomph.
Make Alariel great again, boys.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean with the new Marathi rules, I'm excited that they might come out with new Alariel rules.
Maybe, hopefully. Let's hope so.
But she was the fourth elven god.
Yeah, she is. Well, there's 5 now.
Marathi.
There's 5 gods now.
Well, there's Tyrion, Teclis, Alariel, Kurnathi.
Kurnathi is not a god now.
Oh, Malarian. Yeah.
Valerian.
Marathi is a god now as well.
Yeah. Well, she was on the Pantheon thing from like 2 years ago, but apparently she wasn't a god when Games Workshop put her in the Elven Pantheon.
Well, we don't know if she becomes a god. We got to read the book.
Oh,
no, she does. It's on the War Scroll.
It's on the
War Scroll.
It's literally, it's like, this is mine now. This is Kane, this is mine. Tight.
Declaring yourself a god isn't enough.
Yeah. So I feel like we need a universal Zoom background when we go to a certain subject here in these shows. Specifically the kind of like grinding our gears one, you guys know. Of course, there have been some updates though, because this is of course a 40K episode, and there have been some changes to 40K with the FAQs that have come out for Space Marines and for the Necron Codex. And I gotta say, I'm not happy with them. I was expecting a lot more, and I wanted to I wanted to share my grievances. And you mentioned the holiday season, and as someone who worked in retail or at least in grocery for a very long time, it is triggering for me, John, to listen to Christmas music before Thanksgiving. Big no for me. But the fact that Festivus is a holiday is good because I can air my grievances. And we are getting close to the Festivus season, the Festivus for the rest of us. So my grievance is this FAQ, and it was almost nothing. And they have Crusade rules in the FAQ. Why is that? I don't know. If you guys can tell me, that'd be great. But I don't understand why Crusade rules are in there. In addition to that, the Space Marine FAQ was funky. The Necron FAQ almost did not address the things that actually needed to address, like real questions people had, real arguments that were caused. Like, I know that, others may not agree with me, but, the Doomstalkers thing is ambiguous, and people are arguing online about the Silent King, and he's dynastic agent, but also he's his own dynasty's keyword. Does he get his own dynasty's keyword when he's in his own army, rather than just randomly added? Right now, the answer is no, because he's a dynastic agent, but he also has his keyword. And if you're a dynastic agent, you don't ever have a keyword, yet he has a keyword. So, hey, FAQ worthy. In addition to the fact that, an apothecary is somehow a chief master mechanic of your chapter, in addition to being able to revive people. So, what are your guys' thoughts on the
FAQ? Working as expected.
Working as expected.
Yeah, again, I don't think that it's been long enough for us to get a real juicy fact out there. I think this is kind of like the fact that was put in play from playtester commentary, but prior, like the book is already printed, playtesters are working on it, and this is kind of like GW's, internal testing fact. These are the things that they knew would be fact when the book was released. Okay.
But it's been 3.5 weeks.
Huh?
It's been 3.5 weeks. It
I
normally
think
takes
John
2.
pointed, the FAQ was written probably 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying they're on a slow cycle all of a sudden.
I don't like it. I don't like it
And
at
I
all.
think it goes along with other stuff we're seeing. I think that GW is a little overwhelmed right now. The app still has issues, and even though they're trying to fix it, it's not there. As you saw me, if you were watching my last hobby thing, and I was kind of going through the sprues, I saw some production issues in the sprues. So at this super high pace that they're pumping things out right now, I think that you're bound to have more mistakes. And I think that's part of what's going on, is they're spread a little thin right now. I think we're dealing with a little bit of COVID, working at home, reduced workforce, all of those kinds of things are also kind of telling in GW land as well. So yeah, I agree with you. It's a piss poor fact. And I mean, like they released a Dark Angels fact. You know what the whole Dark Angels fact? Yeah, they added 5 inches to the second tier of the Dark Talon fighter. Oh, okay, yay. To its movement range. that was even worth the effort to print the fact.
Didn't the apothecary get cheaper?
Yes, for Space Marines. Well, they clarified because there's 2-point values for Chief Apothecary, not the actual apothecary model. It was the chapter command one. They did make it clarify that it's the point value paid 98. I'll be honest, guys. I don't think this fact means anything. And I think John's right. This was written 2 weeks ago. And honestly, there's going to be a bigger fact at the end of the year because they typically release a major fact towards the end of the year, early next year. And it's just going to probably undo some of these and also or maybe even add more because I just don't. This fact was kind of a joke. In myself personally, I can't think of a reason flow wise and put the tinfoil hat on.
Foil hat on.
Thank you. English is a bitch. Is the fact that they printed in the fluff section of chapter command a point table, and then at the end when the last thing they sent before they send it to the press is all the point changes, right? There's a lot the point pages of the codex is in Battletoads. It's the last things that Games Workshop edits before going to the press typically. And it was clearly apparent to me that they had said, they decided okay, Chief Apothecary upgrade is a little too powerful, maybe we should bring it up 10 points. And that was the point difference between the two sections. And then the fact says, no, just use the original fluff version of the table. And I was just I can't think of why Games Workshop would just make an edit in the fluff part of the book and not the part that they edit all the time before they send it to the press or to the print. I just I don't really get
because they own a lot of apothecaries and play Imperium a lot.
Yeah,
they want to get rid of them. They want to sell those apothecaries.
So I know that some people disagree with me on this, but I think one of the issues is with the lack of actual playing happening right now also hurts the FAQs because, well, yes, there's a lot of discussions online. I think there is this idea of implementation versus execution. I know you disagree, Jeremy, but I disagrry with you.
Because you live in America. It's a very American.
Yeah, I was about to say there haven't been games being played in America.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what you're talking about. Europe is
even outside of America, there's still less games being played than normal.
Right.
In general, there are less competitive games being played. Period.
If it was earlier in the year, I think you're right, but I think that is a bad math. That's just bad math.
I just think there's less. There is less catching of things in time for when GW would write these things. It's part of as John's saying, they're working from home. They're not working in their offices where they can collaborate more. The playtesters are a lot of the playtesters are Americans.
That's not an
excuse. It's not that it's an excuse. I just think that there's less catching of a lot. When you're talking about that dynastic thing, that seems like something that should have been caught. But I feel like a lot of things are just not being caught because honestly, things there's just less happening right now. There's more effort into doing anything right now, that the FAQs are just lighter than normal.
But that's the issue, is that sure, it might be lighter, sure, events might not be going on as much, but people are still playing games, whether it's, someone like, me going over to Jeremy's house, or other people playing at their friends' houses, and vice versa, or having like small little round robin events.
My point is GW's awareness of issues is lower than
But it has nothing to do with games being played.
That's what I'm trying to say, is it has nothing to do with games being played. Small games, when people catch things, mean that people can find these things and let Games Workshop know. And Games Workshop has a very active social media presence, especially on Facebook. And I know that the rules writing team and the social media team, they're not necessarily always connected. And I don't know how they communicate internally. Who knows? But
they communicate at the water cooler while they're going and grabbing a new cup of tea and stuff like that. I mean, that's
Cheerio.
You can't discount the fact that you had a whole group of people that were in an office together, talking things, playing games on their breaks, figuring stuff out. Hey, did you see this article on the internet? Oh yeah, check. No.
Once again,
this way.
Mostly an American point of view. England, as they've been back in the office for a while. They went in re-lockdown for a little bit brief period of time recently, but for half the year they've been working in their office. Like it's just like guys.
Again. Oh yeah.
No, I'll have one closing thought and I'll be done with it. I don't think it has anything to do with volume of games. I don't think it has anything to do with volumes of questions. Just for bloody sake, we used to get like fact answers in facts. No one's bothered to ask this question. Or if it was bothered to ask, it was bothered to ask by like a random like one-off. And then questions that were asked like systematically on social pages, online, were sometimes not even answered for many facts, right? It's Games Workshop has a very non-transparent way of how they decide to answer rules questions during fact, and that's okay. But there was a miss of time, and we can theorize everything possible for why. But I honestly think it's just that there's going to be a December fact, and they're just like, screw it, like we don't really care. We'll just put this out because we feel like by duty we have to, because we've agreed to this kind of like post-fact SLA, like service level agreement between like the community and us. So we're just gonna dump this and let an intern write it, and then the December fact will drop and it'll actually be the real fact. So
you're saying they just are serving the social contract.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like to me. It answered nothing.
And for me, that's silly, because like Necron FAQ, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different points of errata, and then one FAQ. The one FAQ is literally clear as fucking day. And then out of the 5 errata, 2 of them are Crusade, and that should just be a totally different section entirely. So it's just like they didn't address any
Crusade though. Don't discount how much Crusade is being played.
Fine. Either way, I mean, like I literally didn't get any of the questions I needed answered, and so I was like, great, this fucking sucks. And it's like,
to Jeremy's point, every 2-week FAQ, none of the answers I ever want are ever answered.
I feel like Age of Sigmar ones.
When was the last time GW actually? Remember when they used to for a while do like a pre-fact? They would go on the actual Facebook page and say, "Hey, look, here's the facts we're gonna pop down," and do like a screenshot, and then people could like comment and add more, like what other questions, and then they kind of get this whole thing, and then that led to the fact. Did they only do that once or twice, maybe?
Well, they used to have that little logo for FAQ, that little scroll, and it was like, "Give us your feedback." And then people would like dump their fucking rules question on, and they would respond to some.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows? I just know that I just want some questions answered. And now the Deceiver is relevant, so hey, I have options now. But I don't know.
That's okay. I get to keep the cheap apothecary, Raven Wing, for the win.
And he gets to rebuild bikes and ATVs. So
yes.
More power to you, because you run bikes and ATVs.
But see, that's what, again, there's what was missing. Like that Dark Angels fact changed the Nephilim range, but the real fact that Dark Angels players has to do with Jink. Should we have Jink applied? Does Jink go hand in hand with Raven Wing? And then some of the other things that kind of pop up is like the Invader ATVs not being core, and certain other Raven Wing units not being core are not affected by Raven Wing rules and other things like that. For example, no way to give those ATVs rerolls that I could find.
No.
So
No.
like those kinds of things are like, hey, are you just forgetting to do this GW, or is this intentional? If it's intentional, tell me it's intentional.
Exactly. Well, you know, we could rant about Games Workshop all day, and especially you know, go in on their FAQ process, which again, I'm going to air my grievance. I'm not happy with, but you know, it is what it is, right? To quote many. There was, of course, an event that happened this weekend, and shocking, it was actually done in the United States of America. So, you know, they had what? They had a policy regarding, you know, safety and masks and social distancing, and it was in the Midwest, but it did have a good number of players. And this was the 2020 Renegade Mini GT. And when they say mini, they did cut the number of players that were allowed in half. And still, despite the fact that there was half the player base, there were still a lot of players that ended up showing up. I mean, you know, there was over 45 players who ended up coming to this event. And yeah, normally it does bring around 80, 90, 100 people. So, you know, it was a big event for the United States for the circumstances that we're in right now. And there was a really interesting meta, not a lot of familiar faces, but still there's a pretty wide spread of armies, and I certainly appreciated it, you know, by all means. You know, looking into, you know, some of the rules, the rhyme, the reason of, you know, the event, it looks like they ran things in a very smooth format. It doesn't look like there have been any issues. If there were, they certainly weren't reported, you know, to us. And so, you know, that's good. You know, no news is better than you know, bad news, right? So, you know, the individual David who runs Renegade, we were talking earlier right before recording. You know, he is a really nice guy. I was citing the fact that in my last LVO playing 40K, I had some Chaos Knights and some Renegades, and like my entire army flipped over due to unfortunate circumstances. And before playing my opponent, who was the TO, we made, you know, he helped me, you know, build my army back together. Then I played his Tau, then I beat him. And so he was just like an overall fucking 100% guy, just because I was like stressing out and freaking out. And he was like, "No, man, don't worry. Like, we're gonna get this shit built." And I'm like, ah. Anyways, you know, looking over the pack, looking over the rules, looking over the, you know, kind of status quo that they created for themselves in this new normal. John, what are your thoughts on this event itself?
Sure. So first off, it's good to see GT starting to happen again. And though this isn't the kind of, you know, 150, 200, 300 person GT that this might have been, you know, last year, shall we say, this is still one of the bigger events that we've had in America this year. So pretty impressive to see them get together. There are some pictures on Facebook. It looked like there's plenty of social distancing, plenty of appropriate safety practices, all the things that you would want to see. As far as a packet goes, there was not a lot to it, but you know, it's not like with Age of Sigmar where we need a lot of packet information for 40K nowadays. It's basically going to be played by the Grand Tournament 2020 book, and they basically laid out the list, the missions.
Here's your packet.
What's that?
Here's your packet.
Yeah, here's your packet, right? It's the book. And so that was that. Now, one nice thing they did do is this event was, I guess, right before the Space Marine and Necron FAQ. So they did come up with their own Necron and Space Marine FAQ. And I didn't spend a lot of time looking at these, though at initial glance, I saw some interesting choices being made. I don't know. What'd you guys think? Did you get a chance to take a look at those, their version of the Space Marine and Necron FAQ? And would you have been happier with this FAQ over the one that GW gave you there, Alex?
Well, we looked over the FAQ prior to this recording, and the FAQ, holy crap, like, you know, the Space Marine one was smaller comparatively when you take all the sub factions involved, and it wasn't correct, like Jeremy and Garrett had mentioned prior to our recording as well. But even the Necron one, it made no fucking sense. No offense, but you know, the great my favorite example that I keep on getting stuck on. I know you guys already heard me say this, but our audience haven't. But the Build a Dynasty Relentlessly Expansionist, we already reviewed. I think the first recording we ever had after the codex was released. You know, you don't get Protocol of the Eternal Guardian's first directive if you move in this normal move you make in the first battle round before before players have their first and second turn, because it says if you've already moved in this battle round in the battle round that this directive is active, you don't get the benefit. It's clear as fucking day, but apparently you got it. Apparently you're allowed to use it in this FAQ. I mean, it didn't help any Necron player at the event, I'll tell you that. But
I do think, like, yeah, to strengthen Alex's point, is there are some of the FAQs feel like snap decisions that they had to make without doing the full research. Like the one that I was looking at was where can you place Necrons that are revived? Like, honestly, in I think our last episode, John was bringing up, hey, can I place my Necron warrior anywhere on the table? And then I'm just, cool. My Necron warriors could just teleport across the table. I ended up doing some quick research. I looked through the book. I'm like, Jeremy was like, there's got to be something in the big rulebook. I looked at the big rulebook, and they actually have a section in the rulebook that says when adding models to a unit, you have to place them in coherency. That's what it says in the rulebook.
It further says sometimes there are abilities that allow you to add models back to a unit during game or something to that effect. And so it's not just saying that they have to be in coherency. It says when you have a rule that lets you add models back in, they need to be in coherency.
Yeah, so I'm in the GT book, which has the rules in it. On page 58, to anybody who wants to know the reference of this rule, it says, some rules allow you to add models to a unit during the battle. Such models must always be set up in unit coherency with the unit they are being added to. Sometimes there will be insufficient room to set up all the models from a unit, or it will not be possible to set up all the models so that they are in unit coherency. When this is the case, any models that are set up are considered to have been destroyed. It's explicit. Like, no, you can't teleport across the field and then die in the morale phase, like they mentioned in the FAQ. You have to set up in coherency. But like, you have to have known to look in the unit coherency rule, through all of that.
No, this is very much how this edition is working. I'm finding that when there's a rule like this that's part of the main rule set or the basic big rule book rule set, as it were, they are very careful to not step on the toes of that rule. So you won't find big rule book rules reiterated in sub rules in codexes and what have you. They're basically going to give you something in the codex, assuming that you know the portion of it that comes from the big rule book. And I've noticed this in a few places.
Jeremy ran into this against me because always strike first rules. Basically, every always strike first rule in the game prior to Necron stated, and if you also strike with chargers, then you guys alternate. But the Necron one just says always strike first. There is a rule in the big rule book that says if you have always strike first, you strike with chargers. Yep. So they are now not reiterating, like, we don't need to tell you in the always strike first rule that if you have always strike first, you strike with chargers, because there's a big rulebook rule that says that. But you may have missed that if you're used to playing 8th edition and you needed that explicit wording in the rule itself. And you're like, well, gotcha. And it's like, no, it wasn't explicitly stated because the rulebook covered it.
Yeah.
So
more robust core rules is one of the things about 9th edition. That's like a big hallmark of it. Clear, robust core rules.
But I do want to just reiterate, David Aramond, who is the TO for this event, he's a wonderful man. As Alex's thing, he has regularly sacrificed his ability to play in events that he travels to, like Nova Open or LVO, so that he is a judge for those events. Nova Open, he is regularly used as a top table judge. He's a great guy who has a good eye for seeing above table play. Actually, is one of his. I think as a TO, He's a great guy at enforcing top level play and making sure everybody is actively playing the games they should. And he's really enthusiastic about creating a positive environment to play in. And he's runs a tight ship at his events that he runs himself. I just wanted to put that out there to reiterate what Alex was saying. I've had only positive interactions with David.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, great guy. Looking into everything, John, of course, mentioned that there wasn't much of a tournament packet. And, moving forward towards actually looking at the actual lists, I wanted to take a look at some of these top placings. But before I did, as a Necron player, I was curious to see who is the best, the best Necron player that was at this event. There was a Logan Tillman that got 19th place, but I got a kick because I look at his army list and I'm like, okay, he went 3-2, but let's take a look just in case. And the first thing he has written in his copy paste BCP list is a personal message. It says, "Sorry, first time using this app. This is my finalized list." And I'm like, "Good on you, man. You're being honest." And then there's a battle scribe list right below that. So just wanted to say I get a kick out of that. But the podiumed players, even in the top 10, there's a lot of, there is less than I would say obvious spread of players. I mean, we got Slanesh Demons from Asa Carlson in first place. We got Kevin Leonard with his Nurgle in second place. We then have Drew Ward with his Ultramarines. And then from there, we got Harlequins, Space Marines, more Harlequins, Imperium, Blood Angels, Imperium, and Tyranids. So, of course, there's always going to be a lot of Imperium. But, I mean, we're not just seeing like 8 Ultramarines players and a Blood Angels player and a Death Watch player in there. So like, that's fun. Jeremy, I haven't heard from you in a bit. What do you think about that Slanesh list, the number 1 Slanesh Demons? Looks a little familiar, doesn't it?
I think it'd do great in Age of Sigma. I don't know what he's playing. I mean, there's nothing to say. He just took a monster match Slanesh. I'm no candles. I'm not gonna say I'm surprised that it won. Because we've seen Slanesh armies do well in our stat show, and they do well in secondaries. I'm just a little surprised this one did well for secondaries, just because it was such a monster mash heavy army. But it's been such a long time since I've seen Chaos Demons being played in an actual game of 40K, and from my near proximity. So I'll reserve my judgment for at a later date in many ways. But otherwise, it's gotta be pretty cool to put on the table. You literally have 3 Keepers of Secret, then 1 named Keeper of Secret, Shelly X-Bane, and then a Contorted Epitome, 33 units of 10 Bloodletters, and then 12 Fiends. It's pretty, thematically in my head, this is a pretty cool looking army on the table. But it is it's a lot of baggage in those Keepers. They're better. I mean, they're not that expensive, but I'm a little blown away how cheap a Keeper is in 40K, because I'm used to them in AOS, and in AOS they're bonkers. So no surprise that how cheap they are in 40K. But this was a meta which had a lot more shooting versus AOS, so maybe that's why they took that price point. But shrinking the table size, introducing obscuring rules, it's the same reason why I can see them doing well versus an army like Harlequin, just because they might be not as fast and agile to dodge obscuring, but they can definitely for sure get in your face very quickly, and have good angles to prevent you from being necessarily able to kill them. It's hard to deal with 4 Keepers of Secret just barging at you. I wonder if he played mostly against Space Marine armies. I'm curious to see how that his performance was against mostly what his matchups were.
It's almost like there's an app that we could check.
It's almost like I was soft pitching it to Garrett.
Oh, here.
Was he ready for it?
No, not even a
I
little.
grab his phone as soon as it.
Well, I'll tell
see his match.
I'll
tell you,
here, he played Space Marines.
Yeah.
Space Marines round 1.
Death Skulls.
Okay, Orcs.
Space Marines.
Space Wolves.
Custodes,
Okay, so like smaller version of Space Marine.
and then Harlequins.
and then
Well, Custodes versus demons, that might have been a tough matchup, right? Don't Custodes have some special anti-demony stuff?
No.
They
No.
don't?
Absolutely.
Oh, is that only
They're
in
not Grey
30K?
Knights. They're not Grey Knights. No.
Well, in 30K, that's what
You're thinking of 30K fluff and how they go into the webway and start fucking demon lives up. Yeah,
that's what
no,
I'm thinking.
they're not like that in 40K.
No.
There's
Let's see
no.
here. Well, we actually can look at his secondaries he chose.
Yes.
Uh,
that was cool.
He has deploy scramblers, engage in all fronts, and mental interrogation against.
Yeah, but he's got 4 psychers, so
Yeah,
five
if he's
are
got-
distorted epitome.
So he got 9 points on the mental interrogation, 13 on engage in all fronts, and 10 on deploy scramblers, and then he maxed out his secondary.
Yeah.
He got 55 points on the secondary. He got 10, 15, 15, 15, 15, which then maxes to 45.
Right. But he
But
yeah,
it-
got
yeah.
more than he needed. Yeah.
So he just dominated the primary because
Yeah.
the Custodes player got 15-5 and then nothing on the primary.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure Keeper Secret beats down Custodes pretty quickly.
Well, that's just running that big monster list in the center of board and dominating objectives then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One of the big things I always kind of gripe about Custodes armies is that they never give them transhuman physiology,
Mm.
which is like they give him like a version of it
I don't
that's
fucking care. I don't fucking care.
well, you're really by the way, Alex.
You know what? Again, that was another thing missing. My damn Raven Wing Black Knights have the
transhuman.
inner circle.
Yeah.
And they don't get that.
Have you
part
seen
of
the meme? Have you seen the Anakin meme? It was like, we give you Deathwing, but we don't grant you the rank of Inner Circle, the keyword of Inner Circle. And it's like,
No, they
that's
do.
outrageous. That's not fair.
Black Knights have inner circle keywords.
They do, but
John just forgot.
No, but the transhuman physiology portion of Inner Circle only applies to infantry.
Oh, that's
not
right.
the
Yes.
fight.
Oh.
So
Pikers are not infantry.
I just want to point out, looking at Asa Carlson's pairings, he basically took engage in all fronts and deploy scramblers every round.
Oh yeah.
And he actually maxed out deploy engage in all fronts twice.
Wow.
Got full. That means he was in all 4 quarters, all 5 turns of the game.
It's almost as if he has very small frame bodies that can run and cover lots of ground very fast and spread around. Maybe he plays
Slanesh army
like a
fast?
two-pronged
What's
assault.
that?
And then against Harlequins, he So and he also maxed out the primary heavily every round.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good
like
on
against Harlequins, he got 50. He was getting like 45 to 55 points on primary every round. So he
Wow.
was maxing out his primary. He was doing well, and then he was doing well on engage. I think he got 9 points on engage in all fronts for once, and that was it. Otherwise, he got 11 to 15 on the rest. So he's doing really well on engage in all fronts, really well on the primary, and then deploy scramblers for a free 10 points. So, and he was doing his mental interrogation. Honestly, was like he got 9, he got 6. He was actually doing poorly on mental interrogation relative
But if
to
he's
the
killing
rest
all
of
the
his-
characters, there's not much things to interrogate.
Yeah. So that's how he was doing well with Slanesh, is that he is engaged at all fronts, deploy scramblers, primary, and then a third one, like either mental interrogation. He did assassinate, or no, I don't think he actually did assassinate. Never. And then he used the primary secondary objective, the like priority target or whatever, twice. The two ones you grab, data intercept and priority target, and then he just dominated the primary basically.
Yeah.
What I'm noticing is that he's just dominating the primary, which over his opponents. So I think he's just taking the primary and then making sure his opponent never takes the primary. And that, honestly, you can get a win that way. Like the opponents were doing pretty average on the secondaries against him, 6 points on one, 12 points on another, and 9 points on another. But they were getting like 30 points on the primary versus his 45. So he was just always getting 15 points up on everybody by just shutting them down on the primary. Like against Harlequins, the Harlequin player got 20 points on the primary. He got 15-5, 0-0-0-0. Custodes, 15-5, 0-0-0. So he's just shutting people down on that primary.
Yeah, well, that what I'm hearing though is he also got to figure has the ability to strip you off of an objective. So when you're denying your opponent, these are some armies that can move. Custodes, Harlequins, they're out there getting the objectives, but he probably has enough speed to throw several keepers, Slanesh units quickly into them and grab those objectives right back.
He went first every game.
And there's that too. So he might just be locking people in their deployment zone.
Yeah. So there was that whole thing about the debate of if people go first have an advantage. He went first every single one of his games, and he won every single one of his games by shutting people down on the primary.
Go first is still a big advantage in 9th edition, but it's not the same advantage that it was in 8th edition. In 8th edition, going first was a big advantage because you got your alpha strike off. Now, with more terrain, the big advantage is that you get to go out and grab those center objectives first.
And pin people in their deployment zones and stuff.
Yep.
Like against my game versus Jeremy, we debated this. And ultimately, I was debating whether I wanted to go second, which after thinking about it, I probably should have. But the reason I chose to go first was that as a Necron player, if I went second, he would pin me in my deployment zone on turn 2 and then the rest of the game. There was no way I would be able to stop him. I needed to put pressure on him from the very beginning. And that is a common thing I'm noticing in this edition is that going first, it's more about putting pressure on your opponent, securing those middle objectives, and just keeping your opponent off of those middle objectives.
Yep, absolutely. It lets you set up the maneuvers, set up the blocks, all that good stuff. Set up the bait.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see that performing so well because it's a melee army, and I'm all down for melee armies being relevant again. So kudos to him. One of the things I kind of wanted, because I don't really know much about Slanesh, what's the Exalted Keeper of Secrets rule? Like, is that like a warlord trait, or is that like
it's the Forge World one?
No. This is like, no, he's not buying the Forge World one. I think this is just like an upgrade that he gives him. I think it might be from Psychic Awakening. Let's see it.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, playing demons nowadays, I was, like I said, I was looking at playing my Nurgle list or Nurgle army the other day in 40K, and I realized that I just am not enough into how demons play in 40K to make a really good list of it.
Yeah.
Spend a CP to make them an Exalted. I see.
Yeah, and I guess like he gave one of them a 4-up invul. He gave one of them -1 to be wounded. Yeah, that's and then one is an Exalted, but it doesn't list what he got.
All 3 of them are Exalted.
All 3 of them are Exalted.
All 3 of them are Exalted, yeah.
Is that the exalted gifts that they get, right?
I don't know, but all 3 of them have the Exalted Keeper of Secrets keyword attached to them in his list.
You can actually, I see what he did. He basically, the third one, so they can roll 2 dice on the table and get both benefits, or they can just pick one. I think the third one, he just basically said, I'm just going to roll twice on the table and see what I get.
Yeah. Blessing of the Dark Prince, Quicksilver reflexes, and then just fuck it roll.
Yeah.
Just fuck it roll.
So
honestly, fuck it roll OP.
Yeah,
when you get 2 for 1, yeah. And you get the both of you 1, sure. No, it's interesting. It's been a long time since I played against demons from 40K. I would love to get some more games against those.
Well, speaking of demons, the guy who got second place didn't do too bad for himself either. He only lost once. He's one of just a small handful of people who did not go fully undefeated at that event. And first of all, Kevin, how are you going to play Nurgle and you're going to be on Team Imperial keyword or keyword Imperial? Like, what the fuck's going on here? Like,
well,
y'all better.
He had Death Guard going on, so
that doesn't help.
He had Chaos Space Marine.
He lives in the Dornian timeline.
There you go. That's some 4D chess right there. I'm looking at this. I do find it funny that they're 2 separate gods, chaos gods that get first and second at this event. That glorious Midwest meta, and we have a regular old battalion for Death Guard.
We got a Chaos Lord for the gifts of they're -1 CP for gifts of decay. I'm looking at a Chaos Lord with a Bale Sword, Worm Spitter, regular old loadout outside of that, a Demon Prince with a Blades of Putrefaction, because that's kind of an auto take, as well as Arch Contaminator, Hellforged Sword, etc. We got a few units of Plague Marines, a Foul Blight Spawn. Then he's got, as we all know and love, 3 Blight Haulers, in addition to a Patrol Detachment that has Epidemius, a Great Unclean One, and then 5 Nurglings. Now, I'm really curious as to why
That's
those.
Nurgle. Epidemus. Oh, that's great.
I mean, this is all a Nurgle army.
Impediments.
I personally was curious. Okay, you're right. I'm sure he just ran out of points and he had extra points to spare. That's why the 3-man unit of Nurglings is a 5-man unit. But like, could you have shaved off a few more points to do 2 units of 3? I feel like that might be more effective in this instance. I'm thinking Scarabs right now. But
Yeah, do Nurglings still have the ability to set up on any piece of terrain on the table, right? Or is that
outside of 9 inches from your opponent, outside of 9 inches from the opponent's deployment zone?
Yeah.
But they get set up like during deployment. They are super close. Then they can score. They can be on objectives prior to the game beginning.
Oh yeah, so that's really strong. Midfield objectives, grab them up with Nurglings.
What's going to be real wild is whether or not when their codex comes out, which is like right over the corner, whether or not there's a secondary, like say ancient machineries or something like that, where a demon keyword can hold something. Then you could. I can see some shenanigans going on where someone can ally in.
It's a Death Guard book. They're not going to have demon keyword stuff in the Death Guard book.
You don't think that there's going to be a secondary that will say, demon keyword and something else?
There's definitely a demon.
Death Guard or Chaos Space Marines.
No, there's demons in that.
But there are demon
like,
keyword in there. That's what I mean to say. You can have. Go on.
I doubt it though.
There's Possess, there's Warp Talons, there's Demon Princes. Those are all demons, but they're still Space Marines.
Yeah. I was not as descriptive as I could have been. That's what I meant to say is like, if there's an army that has this situation where you have Death Guard plus Nurgle demons, if there's a secondary for the Death Guard player where there's a statement of again, ancient machineries, core and Canaptech keyword, they can hold objectives. What if it's demon and heretic Astartes?
Yeah, that's doable. And what we've seen in past, at least demon codexes, is some crazy shenanigans for objective secure. Remember the days of demons could hold an objective and then move on and still hold that objective.
Yeah, I remember
pretty amazing stuff. So
Desecrate, back in the old days. Be cool if they still retained that as like a basic allegiance mechanic, or faction mechanic, just like being able to get the AOS treatment for objectives.
Right, would that be amazing? Yeah, I think that demons have to be one of the oldest codexes in 40K right now. I can't even think of the last time that we got an actual Demons of Chaos full codex. Did one even come out at all in 8th edition?
I don't think so.
I mean, it can't be all.
Yeah,
the way
no,
back.
there was a Chaos Demons book in 8th edition.
There was. It had to
Was
be
there?
early on.
Yes, there was. I know because there was a Warhammer community article that talked about how Khorne Bloodletters can 3d6 charge out on a deep strike.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
So that's
Codex.
kind of a thing that I haven't heard. I don't know on the timeline when it's coming in, but demon codexes, usually have a big impact on the 40K meta. There's a lot of people with demon armies, a lot of people that maybe you don't see them playing all the time, but a lot of people own demon armies. So when those come out, they get played.
And they transition well for AOS.
And
So, I think the Demon Codex dropped, and it was kind of it also dropped right around that time that everyone was trying to not make soup armies, and so and demons usually do well in soup since you want to play demons plus mortals.
Right.
Right. You know what? You're right. I remember when that codex came out, because now that I think about it, that was the time that Donna was actually still playing her Khorne army in Age of Sigmar, and that new demon codex came out, and her exact list in Age of Sigmar was exactly 2,000 points in that new demon list as well. The new demon codex. I was like, oh, that's perfect. That like somebody planned this stuff. Take away the battalions, change the little bit of point difference, and you're still at 2,000.
So I do want to just mention real quick, because I'm on the same topic. So looking at his scorecards, he took an interesting one, While We Stand, We Fight, as a secondary. The only time he did not get, well, he didn't get max points twice. He got 10 points on round 1, and then he got 5 points on round 2 against Harlequins. Otherwise, he got 15 across the board. And so I'm guessing, looking at his list, he has a great unclean one, and then of his 6 blight haulers, he picks 2 of them to not die. So he has to just have to keep 2 of his 6, 2 specific of his 6 blight haulers to live, and his great unclean one, and he gets 15 points on While We Stand, We Fight. And that was a common thread among his victory conditions. And similar to Slanesh, I think one of the big things about this list, why it's doing well, is getting on objectives and surviving. And his list does, and Nurgle does well with that. And again, he was running away with the primary a lot. While We Stand, We Fight was the secondary he's doing well on. I think he was one of the few people in the tournament who got a perfect 100. I did not see a lot when I was scanning through them. I did not see many 100s, if any at all, but he did get one.
That's actually a good sign for the whole playing honesty.
Yeah.
Too many 100s leaves me suspicious.
Well, this event required scorecards with turn-by-turn scoring for every single mission. So if you use BCP, you can go through and click through all of the pairing records and see exactly who went first. He did go first. He won one game. He did not go first. And every other game, in one game, no one declared who went first, unfortunately, in the scorecard. And all the other games, he went first. And he lost one, and he won the rest. Because I think he lost... Yeah, he lost round 3, which he went first in. So there's, because that's another metric people like to check. But otherwise, he did very well in the primaries overall. And the one time he lost, actually, he failed on the secondaries. He was taking Raise the Banners High. He actually got 15 multiple times on Raise the Banners High.
Wow.
Yeah. So the one time he lost was because While We Stand, We Fight, he got 5 points. Engaged in All Fronts, he got 6. And Raise the Banners High, he got 6. While his opponent got 15 on Bring It Down for killing all those Blight Haulers. It was Harlequins with a lot of fusion pistols I saw. So 15 on Engaged in All Fronts. And then 0 on Grind Them Down. Still beat him, though. They both got 35 points on the primary. So it was a very close game overall, with both of them trading blow for blow, 10 points, 10 points, 5 points, 10 points for the primary in each turn. And then he just didn't do well on his secondaries, because I'm guessing those fusion pistols came up and just obliterated a lot of his army, and he was not able to hold it as he wanted. So
-1 a hit also hurts those Plague Blast Crawler a bit.
yeah.
So especially since they're low model, they're usually not, the blast roll doesn't really work until they get out of there. They even have 6 models, so it's like, yeah, it's not super ideal.
I mean, he played against Harlequins in round 5 and
Crushed them.
no, actually it was 95-73. I wouldn't say that's a crushing victory.
Crushing is when you have under 50 and your opponent has over 50.
He just it was every round he got 15 points and his opponent got 5 on the primary, and that's what it came down to.
Can dislodge the Nurgle off the objectives.
Yeah, you just can't dislodge Nurgle off, because Bring It Down, 15. Engage in All Fronts, 13. Priority Target, 15. So the Harlequin player was maxing out his secondaries.
Yeah.
But they just couldn't dislodge from the primaries.
Yep.
Honestly, I'm noticing. Go ahead. I just want to say,
Go on.
primaries seem to be the leading factor to what causes a win in these games. If you can stop your opponent from winning primary, you're going to win. That seems to be the leading factor in a lot of games I'm noticing.
Today on our stat show.
Breaking news, folks. Win the primary mission, win the game.
So speaking of winning the game, winning the primary, etc., we talk about immovable objects, and blight crawlers can sometimes be that. John, you can cover your ears if you don't want to get triggered by this, but third place had an Achilles and Gulliman and Vitrix Guard. I'm looking at his scores here, And I gotta say, like, I gotta hand it to him. This is I mean, who am I to say what's considered a meta list and what's not? But I would say that a fucking Forge World Land Raider, Gulliman, and fucking Tactical Marines and Vitrix Guard, I wouldn't really consider that to be the like meta list for Space Marines right now.
And that was the whole list, right? I think those 3 units are like
He had 2 units of
1,800 points,
Eradicators.
right?
He had 2 units of Eradicators, but yes, that was like 2/3 of his list.
And
John.
the chief librarian. What's
Oh yeah. Well, Eradicators are super strong. It was funny that came up on my game last Saturday where I was running 2 units of Eradicators, and my opponent was like, "Wow, man, boom, boom, boom!" And all of a sudden, he didn't even realize I had Eradicators hidden in this building, and both units jumped up and unleashed all their shots, and it was like, where'd those come from? So those Eradicators are really strong right now.
Price melty.
They're super melty.
Also, I want to caveat, I don't think this event used the fact that dropped for
No,
Ultramarines.
they didn't.
So I think Goldman was still allowing them to reroll everything to hit. Now it's changed to core keywords as well as characters, I think. So the Achilles was benefiting. I don't know if he was using it that way, but he was probably benefiting from Goleman in the games. He also had 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, which are core, so they would definitely benefit from that.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure, is the Achilles even around still in the New Forge World book?
Well,
Okay,
isn't
well,
the
they
new
kept them
Forge-
around.
The new Forge World book wouldn't have been in play. They would have still been using Index. Forge World Index.
And it's still in the new one? It's in the...
It is in the new
Didn't
one.
get the legend treatment like my repressors did?
I tell you what, the Achilles
Repressors
should get
have
the
been
legend
OOP
treatment.
for
That is
5 years, Jeremy.
that is the most broken Land Raider ever. I tell you what, facing 3 of them the other week was traumatic, but I can tell you over the years, I have faced multiple lists with more than one of these in them, and it's never pleasant. I'm looking at you, Jim Yee, back in 7th edition.
If there's anything that's OP to me, take 3 to 6 of them.
Yeah, seriously. That sounds about right.
I mean, I only have one of them, right? I'm normal. I have one, right?
Of course. It's funny because his one loss out of all 5 games was the guy who got 4th, who was a Harlequin player who played just 35 Meltaguns and 5 Star Weavers and a couple of characters, and jet bikes. That Land Raider is all fine and dandy, but he's got 1 unit of 3 and then 2 units of 5 jet bikes with Haywire. So like we could see how long that Land Raider may have lasted in that list. That being said, he lost with like 62 points in his second or third round. That is, I mean, losing with that many points, I wouldn't necessarily say is a failure. It's certainly not a blowout. His opponent did get there was a 30-point spread between first and second, but still, I think he may have done okay, depending, given the matchup.
Yeah, he did just perfectly fine. I wonder if he was using the new multi-melta rules on it or the old multi-melta rules too. Because I think they were not ever updated for Forge World.
Oh, you know what?
Oh,
that was one thing that came up my game Saturday. I kept forgetting to shoot my multi-meltas with 2 shots. I was just rolling 1 shot for each of them, and
are
taking
you
advantage of the extra
serious?
damage. So even at that, they were still potent. And then, like halfway through the game, I was like, "Oh no, I'm supposed to have 2 shots on all my multi-meltas. Wait a second." All that should be dead. All that stuff should be dead.
Did you also forget the whole they're half range now? They're just D6 plus 2 damage.
No, that I remember.
Okay,
That I was doing. So they were still doing work.
I wanted to move over. I know Alex probably is going to give me the clock here for a bit. I just wanted to move over to something interesting. So I know there's been a lot of discussion about secondaries.
Yes.
And I actually I looked into this event because there's been some discussions about whether we should allow faction secondaries. So I took the top Space Marine list player, looked through all of his scorecards, and I went through the top Necron player and went through all of his scorecards. So the one thing I noticed, and I just looked for whether they were using their faction secondaries. So the Necron player didn't pick a single Necron scorecard, faction secondary once. Either he was picking the wrong one as a placeholder because he didn't realize that they were available, or he just never picked it. I don't know. The data we are given, he did not pick his faction-specific scorecard once. So that was Logan Tillman. So don't know what was going on there. The Chris Thompson, who got 4th place with Adeptus Astartes. I did not look at Drew Ward. I could probably look at him. I just looked at Chris Thompson. He chose his almost every single round, and he got 10 points or more.
Which one?
Yeah, which one?
I don't know. It just says that unfortunately the UI is too small for me to check. I did not.
The UI on what app?
The web app that the wonderful Josh.
Can you see which category of secondary it is?
No.
Yeah, but the web app.
So we know he was using faction-specific secondaries every time and doing well with them. We just don't know which one he was using. And
exactly.
And let's face it, the Necron specific secondaries, I think they're situational. I think there's some strong stuff in there. We talked about that the other day. And the Space Marines are, you're probably going to use them every time.
Honestly, I've been using the secondaries every time as an Necron player, but they're depending on which mission you're playing, one of them is going to be a better option over another. But there's this whole idea online, and I'm glad that they allowed the secondaries for Space Marines and Necron players here, especially now that we have several more, a few more codexes and even more on the way by the end of the year. There's going to be more secondaries, and people are kind of losing their minds online. People are absolutely losing their minds online. I mean, I was looking today on, in a certain Facebook group, and there was this guy, preaching, from the mount, screaming at people, telling them, that secondaries for codexes shouldn't be allowed, or they should be approved by your opponent in a tournament setting, rather than getting just TO approval ahead of time. And what do you guys think about that?
I think it's valid. It's in the codex. It should be allowed. Done.
Yeah, so one of the big arguments that I have is, so people's arguments is based off of this idea that Maelstrom cards were banned, faction-specific Maelstrom cards were banned back when people used those, which was not in the US, so I have no opinion on that. It's hard for me to gauge that because we didn't use Maelstrom decks at all in the US. We used ITC missions.
No, we used a Maelstrom table that was popularized.
We did not use the Maelstrom cards.
True.
As you said, we used a Maelstrom table. We did not use the Maelstrom cards at all in the US. We used the ITC missions or the Nova missions, which had their own built-in, not GW standard secondaries / Maelstrom objectives. So that argument, I just don't even know how to engage with because we didn't use it. So, but my argument is my problem was when 8th edition first dropped, we were all playing Index Hammer, and I was having a great time. Then the Space Marine book came out, and they had their own special stratagems. No one else had stratagems. And that's when I bounced out of 8th edition, was because I was like, I don't want to play Index Hammer when everyone else has a book and I don't. So I jumped over to Age of Sigmar, and I decided to wait until my book came out, which was either Sisters of Orcs, happened to be at the end of the edition, or Orcs were about halfway through. But nobody complained when one book had stratagems. We weren't all going, you can't use book stratagems till everybody has a book stratagem. Those are literally, one faction has 12 stratagems to pick from, and we all have reroll stratagem. So why are we, I just don't get why we're arguing that we were banning book secondaries. It's like, yes, they have them, we don't. But that's so many rules. If we have to wait till everyone has secondaries, 10th edition is going to be out.
Yes, that's for sure. You can't
Go ahead,
wait.
Jeremy.
I love all your statements. I want to echo sentiments here. I think they're all good. But at the end of the day, the top, if you read every top of that page, it says chapter approved, guys. We've been playing with chapter approved rules in match play for years now. So I guess if we're gonna say chapter approved is not acceptable, then all chapter approved is not accepted. Can't be cherry picking.
Ooh, that is a
No.
very...
These games are all about cherry picking rules. Every PO cherry picks maybe 99% of the rules, but everyone cherry picks.
I will be honest. Like, I'm curious to know which one he picked from the Space Marine one, because the only one that ever felt good to me was Oath of Moments, and Oath of Moments is, I could see getting 10 points of it pretty consistently, but more than 10 is kind of the reason why Oath of Moments is very good is just because it allows the Space Marine player to, like, hey, it's bring it down, assassinate, kind of wrapped up into one secondary, with also the ability of reverse engage on all front, where I get 2 points if I'm a unit holding the table, the middle of the table, within 6 inches, and then I also get a victory point if none of my units ran away during the battle round. So, and since most Space Marine players play MSU, typically it's not like that one ever really happens, because they're dead usually before they take a battle morale test. But the big one, I was just like, yeah, I can, like, if you just sit on the center of the table because it doesn't limit, like, if there's an opponent's unit, it doesn't, like, it doesn't stop it. It's just like, as long as you have a model that is a unit that is holding in 6 inches of the center of the table, which, by the way, if you know anything about most armies, they take an engage on all front, and an engage on all front, you have to stay away from the center of the table. So, because that unit doesn't count for engage on all front if it's anywhere near 6 inches of the table, center of the table. So it just kind of like, I think it's just basically filling this void where, like, it's super easy for Space Marine players to get 10 points out of that one, because it's just, they can score on turn one for 2 points in the center, and then everything else is kind of like a gravy bonus. Like, if you literally killed no heroes, no vehicles, or no monster, but had no units run away, had a unit at the center of the table every turn, you get 15 points. So I can see why you can make the argument it's fairly achievable. But honestly, the other ones haven't been that impressive to me. The Necron ones I find way more good, I guess, in a sense, because they get the categories they're available to them, like, basically, the other secondaries they compete for are very good for Necrons, right? It's
right. Yeah, they fill gaps in where Necrons are weak in big book secondaries.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the Space Marine one. Honestly, it's just kind of like, sure.
It's typical Space Marine stuff. And mind you, you guys know I'm a Space Marine player. Got my big Ultramarines, got my big Dark Angels, now my Johnny Marines army. So I love playing that stuff. But let's face it, Space Marines is kind of always been easy mode. Easy rules, easy stuff, like lots of strength, lots of mix, lots of variety. There's a reason. There's a reason. It's what GW pushes. I mean, look at how many new models and how many new kits the Space Marines got out of this codex. I mean, not to mention what we've already gotten from Indomitus, and several units since then. And by my count, 3, 5, 6 kits that are in the codex and aren't even released yet?
Yeah.
What the heck? When was the last time you saw a new codex that had over 10 new kits in it?
Very long.
So,
Space Marine.
The last time Space Marines released, right?
So I'm just gonna
Tau release from 7th edition, maybe.
Just did some little BCP magic. It's Oaths of Moment. So it's the one you think
it's the easy one.
Okay, we thought.
The curious thing I have about that is that it is wholly within 6 inches of the centers. You do have to have, like, I was playing against my brother, and I decided to tell him not to take it because it is wholly within 6 inches of the center, which I think would be harder than. So I'm wondering if people are playing it right. Just putting that out there, because, like, if, like, Sisters, I just have to throw 10 Seraphim, annihilate the center unit, and then he just doesn't get the center anymore.
Only if you go second.
Or you have a character standing in the center surrounded by other units.
If you have a 10-inch deployment, and you have to show up wholly within 6 of the center, and you threw your guys on the line right at that 10-inch marker, if you can move them 7 inches and they're all fully 7 inches towards the center of the table, you're likely, maybe even 18 inches. I'm just assuming 6-inch move. If you can make them run or something like that, or advance, you're getting that you're getting that point.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll just have to see it in action. But like, I was not that wholly within 6 inches of the center issue was something that I was like, but
The
The
only
center
time,
is 22 inches up.
also I forgot the only time it also doesn't really, or Orphamone isn't very good for white scars because I forgot to mention if you only get a point if you don't fail morale and also do not fall back.
yeah, that was the other one that I told. Like,
and
Logan was
white-
playing White Scars.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's like Logan is playing White Scars. I'm like, Logan, you're retreating and charging. You're never taking this.
You're robbing yourself of effectively 5-point potential point on the table.
Yeah, but
But yes, it was Oaths a Moment was the one he was taking every round and getting 10 plus points on.
Yeah, I see. Like I said, it's like for me, it's like a Space Marine deploy scrambler with the possibility of getting an upside, right? It's in terms of play style.
Well, that's the thing about it is unlike almost every other secondary, it has these multiple modes of scoring.
Yep. Yeah, the other ones are not that attractive. One of them is basically like another rewrite of one, and which is, by the way, it's competing the same one, which is like if you take an objective of this, which your opponent controlled at the start of the battle round, you get 3 points. It's the same one and it competes in the same bracket where there's a secondary that's literally almost worded the exact same way. And then the other one is just like if you get a point for each unit you destroy with specific types of weapons, which follows like the doctrine mechanic, but you have to do it within those doctrines. So you only have like let's say like you have most Space Marine armies are going to have a mix of either heavy and then heavy grenades and then rapid fire and assault weapons. And then if you're more of a assault army like White Scars, you're probably going to have more of the 3. But most typical Marine armies don't really bank on a lot of melee combat mechanics. So it's kind of like, do you imagine yourself killing 15 units during the game with all of your basically you get 1 point for each unit you kill, but like on turn 1 only with heavy weapons and grenades, on turn 2 only with rapid fire and assault, and turn 3 as well unless you change to a combat doctrine. So it's just like it's hard to imagine, and for me it's hard to picture in my head I'm gonna get 15 unit killed on the table for that's kind of hard limitation.
All I'm hearing is that this idea that we should ban faction secondaries is ridiculous because there's one Space Marine one that's easy to get. Easy, because as you and I were talking, if you play White Scars, it's no longer easy. If your opponent can just deny the center of the table from you, it's no longer easy. Right. There are ways to get around it. The Necron one, the top Necron player there, while he did not perform particularly well, he never took his faction secondary. So it's like, I'm not seeing it being a problem that we need. This feels like a knee-jerk reaction.
Well, he might have done better if he had taken them.
That's true.
Okay, for the record, absolutely, he would have done better if he took them. I'm looking at his list right now.
Alex, come on. You went there.
I guess my point is that I feel like we're as Alex said, 3.5 weeks in. This is probably the first major tournament where I've heard talk about the secondaries being not used, and I'd like to see some data about how often they're scoring and how scoring 10 points on one of the faction secondaries. To me, that is not indicative of we need to ban faction secondaries. Oh no, they can get 10 points. Deploy scramblers is easier and it gives you 10 points.
Not to be a bit of a dick, but I think I knew why that Necron player got 19th place. He brought 78 Necron warriors, only 3 characters, and a monolith.
Maybe he had bad dice.
Yeah, maybe he had bad dice. That's true.
Bad matchups.
Yeah, bad matchups. It happens. It happens to us all.
Yeah, before I'm not really. The data so far I'm seeing is that the unbalanced nature of these secondaries is that you're getting 10 points guaranteed, which Deploy Scramblers does as well. So I'm like, I'm not seeing strong evidence that these secondaries need to be banned.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And Jeremy has a really funny sentiment about this.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, all right, we don't have to talk about it. We don't have to talk about it.
No.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm gonna get Garrett an old gavel though. He can just Argument over.
Argument over. Shut
Yeah,
it
especially
down.
since you can do that BCP magic. That's really, really helpful. When is the next stat show?
It's supposed to
Thursday.
be this Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, is it gonna be live, or
Live.
is it gonna
Wait,
be?
is that
Oh,
this
yeah.
Thursday or was that last Thursday?
Oh, this is
It'll be
that is a
yesterday.
very good question, John. I think it's the 12th, November the 12th.
So that would be last Thursday.
No, it is the 13th.
It's
No,
current
Still
Thursday.
last Thursday.
Well,
Sorry,
I was like,
my phone says it's the 11th because it's past midnight. I forgot.
This
that,
current Thursday of this week
right,
will be a
this is-
stat show.
we will not be hosting a stash on Friday the 13th, guys.
Unless Alex releases it on Saturday, in which case it was again last week.
Right. So, John, do us a solid because we're time travelers in this podcast. Sometimes we're not sure.
We are
what
time travelers.
time continuity we're living.
You know, I keep on trying to warn myself of prior mistakes, and it just keeps on not working. You know, I think there's like a butterfly effect.
Future
involved.
Alex is a sucker.
I don't know, man. I just keep on making these mistakes. I don't know what to say. It's fucking wild. But we do have that stat show, and then also, John, of course, you have already begun the process of getting the lights on with your Silent King. What is in store for us this week?
Sure. So last week, this last Wednesday, I, of course, finished off the Triarchal Menhirs. So go ahead and check that out on our YouTube channel, In Your Phase Media. In Your Phase Media is what will find you, our YouTube channel. And then this coming Wednesday, I'm going to start on the main body of the Silent King. In which case, I'm mainly going to light the engines. I'm going to create a spotlight effect on the 3 characters. And then in the Satan shard that's up on top, I want to create like an energy effect coming out of the mouth that's going to be like 2 different colors. It's going to be like a green and a flicker. I got the blue lights in. In fact, I ordered a new set of lights from Evans Designs, and those just arrived today. So I'm all set for the next recording.
I don't know if this is going to inspire you, but the Satan shard, they actually name the Satan shard that is powering that throne.
Oh.
It is the burning one. It is the one from
burning one.
The Mephrit dynasties, or the one that kind of like did the Deus Ex Machina with the Blood Angels Necron Tyranid campaign book. That one that went up against the Herodol.
The name, the burning one, instantly invoked to me like a shard of a star, and so I think I want to go with, I'm thinking like star plasma effects. In fact, the paint that goes on him, I think I should do like more, almost like, imagine how you would paint like a lava base, so that
there you go
sword effect, and kind of do that whole thing. That would be nice. Excellent.
That would be really nice.
That'll inform my my upcoming build.
I'm very excited to see that. I mean, like the men here just look like such an, like, until you showed us, even in our last recording, how obviously like perfect the models were built for like inner wiring and lighting. I can only imagine what you're going to do, not only with that, but I'm actually shocked at the idea that you were going to do a spotlight effect, because I was honestly very curious on how you were going to do the lighting for the throne, because I don't have the model yet. So I've been like looking at people who have made the model, and nobody's lit it up yet. So you're going to be the first one that I know of who's going to be lighting that shit up.
Oh,
and
cool.
I keep on looking.
So,
I'm like,
if you look at them, the 3 guys look like they're like, overseeing their minions. They're like, giving commands. And so I figured if you're, you got a leader up on a pulpit, they always have a spotlight so that they're giving their commands. So that's
pretty tight.
Vision of this whole thing.
Super excited to see that. That's going to be fucking awesome. And then any other kind of announcements this week for you guys? Any other special things?
Well, Jeremy and I should probably stream more of our Total War game at some point.
Actually win it
miserably.
Oh yeah, we're gonna win it, baby.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'll be back to regularly streaming actual live.
We will eventually be back to regular streaming, hopefully this week. Great. Well, if you guys like this episode, do like and subscribe. Give us as many stars as you want. And we are, of course, on FLG's Roll every other week. Find us on podcast or Podbean, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is going to be Alex, John, Jeremy, and Garrett signing off for the evening. Have a good night.